Shalom, shalom, Israel, shalom. His brother Raya, I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach, Malak Yahushua. Another strong shalom to all that are mighty brothers that go out there and labor on the highways and byways, making their body a living sacrifice. In the rain, the tumults, the demons, the uprises, the uproars, they're out there standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that are not out there as of yet, but they're building themselves up, reading, praying, fasting, doing everything they could do to put themselves in a position to shake the hand to wake up the hopeful elect. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty Akwaf in this thing that actually sincerely reverence their husbands, being teachers of good things to the children at home, being quiet, shamefaced, submissive, loving, steadfast, cooking, sewing, cleaning, doing all of the righteous acts of our foremothers on fire for the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty Akwaf that are not married as of yet, but they're building themselves up on fire, shamefaced, submissive, doing everything they could do to magnify the Most High and His beloved Son Yahweh Shah. Another strong shalom to all that are mighty, zealous children in this thing, abstaining from all lust, concupiscence, and peer pressure, standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. And last but not least, another strong shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad, reading, praying, fasting, magnifying Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Malak Yahushua. Right, this is going to be an in-depth breakdown on Jacob's trouble, right? Being a pilgrim on the earth, volume 2. Yeah, we did volume 1 a while ago through the spirit, but the spirit is moving, brothers, to jump into volume 2, hunted by Esau. I remember the first volume, Jacob's trouble, being a pilgrim on the earth is how to survive. Went into a lot of tactics on how to survive, how to fish, how to look for water, right? Clean animals. We dived into a lot of those things through the spirit, how to move, how to read the signs and the times and different things like that. You need to really understand nature and tap back into the elements, man. Get off your phone, get off your laptop, stop watching TV and binge watching, and really understand how to survive, man. These days to come, you can't just bank on miracles every 5 seconds, man. Right? A slab of meat is not going to fall from the third heaven every 4 to 7 hours when you're hungry in a while. You have to literally know and prepare what things to eat, what are clean, what are unclean. You have clean roots, you have unclean roots. You have different directions that the wind blows. You have to understand the signs and the different things of the moon. You understand the sun, right? These different creatures, right? You have to really be tapped in with wisdom, right? Let's dive into it. Right, I'm gonna share my screen. Right, give me a strong con if you can see the screen. Give me a strong con if you can see the screen. Let's dive into the mighty book of Sirach, chapter 39. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 39, and verse number 1. He that giveth his mind, right, to the law of the Most High. So when you give your mind to the law of the Most High, this precept is never going to get old. Because this is the key to life, man. The key to life is having faith in Yahweh Shem Yahushua, understanding when you fall short, you're covered by his grace and mercies, having charity, and giving your mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof. That's not just talking about thou shalt not eat shrimp, crab, and lobsters. What's in the law? How to survive, how to live. We sojourned in the wilderness. Everything of these statutes and commandments is going to teach you how to live. We'll seek out the wisdom of the ancient. What does it mean, the wisdom of the ancient? Meaning the scriptures are only going to tell you what you need to know as far as how to get everlasting life. But you have carnal knowledge and wisdom that's of this world. See, your father could tell you how to change out a motor. That's wisdom. You understand? Your father could show you how to change a tire. The Lord said a man of wisdom will seek out wisdom of the ancient. See, ancient is men that have been through things. They have experience. They can show you which ways to go, what you ought to do, what to look for in a woman. Everything that the scriptures speak about aren't going to touch on every aspect of your life. The Lord is not going to tell you, right, how to cook and what temperature, and you put it right there. You raise it this far up off of the flames so that you could get a nice roast, or how to get game, how to set a trap. These things aren't physically there. You have to seek out this wisdom. It says, and be occupied in prophecies. So brothers have to be occupied in prophecies, understanding the will of the Most High, understanding what to do and how to understand these things in the last days, right? Let's dive straight into it. Let's go to the mighty book of Genesis, right? And I labeled this hunted by Esau because in the last days, brothers are literally going to get hunted by Esau. It's not a game. It's not a scare tactic. This is something to prepare yourself with mentally, spiritually. You don't have to prepare yourself financially. You don't have to get a rocket jet. You don't have to get some underground bunker. You'd have to seek out some very, very high tree and climb it up in the days of vengeance and watch with binoculars as all hell breaks loose. This is the book of Genesis, right? Chapter 27 and verse number 41. It says, and Esau hated Jacob. So from the very foundation of the earth, you have to understand there is an ancient hatred, something that he doesn't even know about. Your boss at work has no idea that he's Esau. He doesn't know that the blessing was stolen from him. He doesn't know that his forefather has sought to slay you and chase you from the foundation of the earth. He doesn't know these things, but he has an ancient spirit in him. That's why the Lord said, let me get this quick precept. Made me think of it. Let's go to the mighty book of Genesis, chapter 49. And the Lord said of Judah, who shall rouse him up, man? Because you don't even know who you are. You have no idea the things that we've done as a nation. It's the book of Genesis, chapter 49, and verse number 9, right? It says, Judah is a lion's whelp, right? From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. So from the prey, from a youngster, you're sent to battle. You're sent to be fearless as a lion's whelp. See, a lion has to grow into the age of an adult to really go to war, fight, and gain his own tribe. You understand? So from the very beginning, us being born chief, right, as the top tribe, we're sent to go up. He stoopeth down, he croucheth as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up, man? Why does it say as an old lion? That's spiritual, meaning that old ancient mind, that old ancient war tactic, that old spirit. Who shall rouse that spirit up? Who's going to rouse up Abraham in you, man? Isaac in you, Jacob. But chiefly, who's going to rise up that warlike spirit of David, the Maccabees, Joshua? Who's going to rouse these things up through the spirit that you actually know the power you possess? So from the beginning, you understand, Jake already knows he's the fastest. He's the strongest. He can climb. You understand? He's athletic. These are things built in us that we know through strength we could prevail, and it's in our spirit to know these things. The same way in wickedness, Esau has an old ancient hatred because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, which is his mind, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. And these words of Esau, right, her eldest son, were told to Rebekah. And that's spiritual. Because when you really look at it, I mean, who told Rebekah? You know, was it an angel, a prophet, a dream? Something was revelated to Rebekah to tell Jacob to forewarn him. That's the spiritual, man. The servants of the Lord are forewarning you the days to come and the vengeance that are going to hit the earth. It says, and she sent and called Jacob her younger son and said unto him, behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doeth comfort himself, purposing to kill thee. Now, therefore, my son, obey my voice and arise. Flee thou to Laban, my brother, to Haran. This is the point. And tarry with him a few days until thy brother's fury turn away. Was this fury ever turned away? See, we were supposed to flee for a moment, but we've been on foot fleeing our whole life, man. From the time we became Israel to the time Esau has been Esau, born Esau, we have been fleeing. We have been scared. We have been fighting for rights. We have been going to war. Right in the time of the Maccabees, we fought during the time of the siege in 70 AD, where we have fought in slavery, right? The Americanized slavery. We have fought from the beginning of time, right? Even from the womb to the time we live in now, we've been on foot. We've been fleeing. It says, and tarry with him a few days until thy brother's fury turn away. And it's never truly turned away. Now you can read that it did in your mind in Genesis 33 and 3, all the way down when he bowed before Esau and the 400 footmen. But that's all written on a carnal sense that actually came to pass. But that old hatred, that vengeance, that evil spirit has never left, right, Esau. until thy brother's anger turn away from thee. So this thing that Rebecca has told Jacob is instilled into our spirits and our soul and prophecy to this very day. And he forget that which thou hast done to him, and he never forget it, because it's branded in his spirit, just like it's seared in his mind, even though he doesn't even know why he hates, man. Right? Esau in slavery, he doesn't know why. What did he just call you, a monkey, a nigger? Right? You're dark. He doesn't even know the ancient reason why it's instilled and branded in his soul and his mind and his spirit to feel that way, man. And you don't even know why you hate. You didn't know you had the upper hand. All of these things are spiritual, and he's never forgotten it. It says, then will I send and fetch thee from thence. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day? Right? Let's go to the book of Wisdom of Solomon. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, right? Chapter 10. So from the foundation of the earth, he has been trying to hunt and kill you, right? Just like from the foundation of the earth, he has escaped the murder, right? Cain, that killed Abel. And he's still a fugitive, a vagabond, a nomad, somebody walking up and down the earth, right? That has yet to have judgment, right? Let me get this quick precept. So like this quick. You have something called the migration period. Now, during the Roman Empire, you had the barbarian invasions. You had your Huns, your Celtics, and your different European tribes, right, of Germanic that came in and split during those times, right, of the invasion. And during this period, it's classified as the migration period. It says the migration period, also known as the barbarian invasion, was a period in European history marked by large scale migrations. What does that mean? He's fleeing. He's going all around the world. You're trying to figure out why Esau, he got all the way in Europe, figuring out why he's in Australia. You're trying to figure out why he's in Africa. You're trying to figure out why he's in South America, why he's in North America, why he's all around the world. See, the Chinese inhabit China. Africans, for the most part, they inhabit Africa, right? You have the so-called, Arabs, right? Ishmael, they inhabit Saudi Arabia, right? The peninsula. But then you have the so-called white man. He's everywhere. It says that saw the fall of the Western Roman Empire, right? And subsequent settlement of its former territories by various tribes. So its ancient spirit of being a nomad and fleeing from vengeance and fleeing into different coasts all the way from the time of Genesis is to this very day, man. Let me get that quick precept. I know we holding a lot. I'm gonna come back to this. Let's go to the mighty book, right, of Genesis. It's Genesis chapter 4, and I'm going to start at verse right number 14. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth. That's not something that just happened one time. Esau trying to slay us for the days of mourning are at hand is not for just one time. These accounts from Genesis, right, in the wilderness and all of these things are spiritual, and they relate to our people to this very day, man, and to history and to prophecy. It says, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. That's exactly what he is, because he has no homeland. See, his land is Mount Seir, which is desolate, without vegetation, without crops, right? Without any cattle, without any life. He's subsequent, pushed all the way in the mountains that have no light, no sun, and nothing so that he can sustain himself to live. It says, in establishments of post-Roman kingdoms there. Check this out. Migration period from 300 to 600 AD. So when you actually go into this history, like I said, you had the Goths, right? The Huns, the Slavs, right? And all of these different so-called Euro tribes that invaded different lands during the Roman Empire. From the time of Carthage, Rome, and they traveled all the way around the world, inhabited lands and invasions. So from the time, again, of Genesis, as you're actually going into it, this man has been a fugitive. He has been a man that has covered his face with a mask, rape, robbing, and murdering, and stealing and pillaging because he doesn't have anything for himself, man. That's why he takes slaves. That's why he takes lands. That's why he has to take and take on different identities. And it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. And the Lord said unto him, therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold, right? Because it's a way to go about it with the avenger of blood. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest anyone finding him should kill him. And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden, right? A land of nowhere. That's the land of Nod, the land of the middle of nowhere, right? Let's go back to it in Genesis. This is Genesis, right? Chapter 27 and verse 45 again. Until thy brother's anger turn away from thee, and he forget that which we have done unto thee, right? Then will I send and fetch thee from thence. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day? Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, the 10th chapter. And let's start at verse 10. When the righteous fled from his brother's wrath, and that happened, right? With Jacob and Esau, right? With Cain and Abel. With you to this very day in Esau, he's always fleeing after you. You're always fleeing in a cop car. He's always chasing you in a cop car. He's always asking you questions, pinning you up at work, looking up the surveillance, the hours you came in. He's always watching you. He's always seeking to slay you, man, in some type of way, financially, deny your loan. That spirit of hatred to seek your soul and devour it has not yet happened, man. You have the first abomination of desolation. During the Greeks, you have the second during the Roman Empire, right? But then you're going to have the third abomination of desolation, which is the temple that we're building through the spirit of the elect that he's going to come and do a mass slaughter in. Every slaughter has been with the temple. They've invaded the temple. You had three different directions during the Roman siege where they have came from, right? They had different gates and different wards when you go into the history. This ward, that ward, that ward. And they had these wars that they tried to break in to get to the temple during the Roman Empire. You can read about that in Maccabees, right? Slaying all type of pigs, blood upon the altar. So blood has to be shed on this altar, man. It has to be, and the blood is going to be the innocent and the elect. It says, when the righteous fled from his brother's wrath, she guided him in the right paths, shewed him the kingdom of God, and gave him knowledge of holy things, made him rich in his travails, and multiplied fruit of his labor. So when the righteous fled, we're still fleeing to this very day. And really, during the law, when you flee, you're not supposed to be chased, right? That's according to the law. So not only is he having a wicked hatred, but he's also breaking again the laws of God. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy. Right? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 23 and verse 15. It says, that which is gone out, right, of thy lips, thou shalt keep and perform. Talking about a vow. Even a free will offering according as thou hast vowed unto the Lord, thy God, which thou hast performed, it's like it promised with thy mouth. When thou comest into thy neighbor's vineyard, so like, is this what I want? Okay, that was the spirit that had me read that. But nevertheless, this is Deuteronomy chapter 23 and 15. This is what I want. Thou shalt not deliver unto his master the servant which is escaped from his master unto thee. So somebody actually escaped. You're not supposed to take that servant and that slave and take him back to the master. That's the law. That's why when you read the book of Philemon is so spiritual. You had Philemon, right? You had Paul. You had this account of a servant escaping from his master, and Paul pleading on the account, right, of the servant. It says, he shall dwell with thee even among you, in that place which he shall choose in one of thy gates where it liketh him best. Thou shalt not oppress him. So they're not supposed to be any slave hunts, slave watchers. Not supposed to kidnap a man. Not only you're not supposed to do these things, but anybody that does get away, that does flee, you're not supposed to take that man and bring him back into bondage. Let's go to the book of Revelation. Let's go to Revelation chapter 21. Matter of fact, let's go to Revelation chapter 12. It's Revelation chapter 12 in verse number 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven. A woman, talking about Israel, clothed with the sun and the moon, right? Meaning with what wisdom, knowledge, understanding. Under her feet, meaning possessing it and having dominion over these things. And upon her head was a crown of 12 stars. Crown meaning authority and rulership, 12 meaning the 12 tribes of Israel. And she being with child, cried, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered, foretelling Yahweh's birth. And there appeared another wonder in heaven. And behold, a great red dragon. Who is this great red dragon? Herod, the so-called white man, the Roman Empire on another fold. This is the great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. Right, going into the book of Revelation, the 17th chapter. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven. Right, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Those are the stars that are upon the crown. Right, of 12 stars, and did cast them to the earth. What does this mean? She took the third part of the stars and cast them into the earth. Let's go to the book of Matthew. Because what did Herod do? He seeked to slay and destroy all of the firstborn, all of the young of the children of Israel. Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 2, and verse number 13. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared unto Joseph in a dream, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt. So all throughout the scriptures, you see over and over and over a fleeing. We flee during the time of the Maccabees into the mountains. We flee from the very foundation, Jacob from Esau. We're always fleeing and escaping wrath into the appointed time on a deeper level of prophecy for him to devour us. It says, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. Why? Because he didn't want another king and an insurrection rising in his kingdom. It only could be one king. Then he arose and took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the Lord by that prophet, saying, out of Egypt have I called my son. Right, Hosea the 13th chapter. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem. So that's the third part of the stars, right? It says, and did cast them to the earth. When you cast something to the earth, you destroy it. You break their necks. You destroy, cast them headlong. Like they were trying to throw the Lord off of a cliff and cast him down headlong. It says, and the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it were born. You don't think this dragon still standing before the woman, ready to be delivered? What are we bringing forth? Righteousness. What are we bringing forth? Prophecies, prophets, elders, disciples, men of renown coming back on the earth. And he's watching and he's standing just like in the days of old. He knows that this kingdom is being set up. He knows about the fringe groups, the black identity extremists, the terrorists, the black Hebrew Israelites. It says, and she brought forth a man child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God and unto his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness. So the woman is Israel. Fleeing into the wilderness is talking about what? We fled, meaning we came into America. America is the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God. A place prepared of God isn't talking about we're going to flourish in America with wealth, Hollywood, dancing, TV, social media, and we're going to be black celebrities, right? That's not what this is talking about. Have a place like we should not arise and depart, for this is not your rest. When it says she has a place prepared of God, meaning this is the place where we're woke up at, out of the land of the north. This is where we're going to wake up and come to who we are. The Lord said, in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves. This is the place prepared of God, man, where we're nourished up with milk, honey, bread, meat, wine, where the Lord in this place has made prophets and men of renown, that they should feed her there 1,203 score days, right? 1,260 days, which is the same as 42 months, right? In Revelation, the 13th chapter. After this time is completed, Esau is going to rise up to make war against us. How can you mark the time and approaching the third abomination of desolation? Let's go to the book of Revelation. Let's go to Revelation 11 chapter. This is how you mark and understand the times that we're approaching. This is the book of Revelation chapter 11. And I want to start at verse, this whole thing is fire. Verse 7. And when they shall have finished their testimony. When it says finish their testimony, what does that mean? Meaning all things are sealed. The elect is sealed, right? Vengeance is now going to hit the earth. See, right now, the elect isn't sealed. How do you know? Because all hell didn't break loose, man. When all hell breaks loose and Jacob's trouble happens, the elect is already sealed. You don't have to walk around in the days of war and vengeance as buildings are falling, smoke bombs are in the earth, bridges are collapsed, helicopters are flying around, screams, yells, and all different type of poison and pestilence is in the earth and in the air to wonder, how am I going to teach the elect and where are they? They're already sealed. It says, and when they shall have finished the testimony is by the two witnesses, which are the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. When these things are finished, meaning there's no more highways and byways, freedom of speech is off. You can't speak anymore. The true elect are either locked up or pilgrims on the earth. When they're finished, meaning there's no more prophecies to speak about because it hit the ears of the elect and they're woken up, the beast, right, that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit, which is Europe, right, shall make war against them and shall overcome them and kill them. And we're approaching those days because you already have freedom of speech in different places that they're gearing up laws against you in, right? And I want to prove that. I want to dive into that. Let's dive into the penalties of hate speech, right? Penalty of hate speech. If a person is found guilty of a hate crime, and what are we at, man? They call us hate crime. They call us identity extremists, right? What are people ruining your Saturday? What are people ruining your Friday night? When you're holding hand with your Moabite woman, you're walking down the harbor, you went to go get ice cream to have a good day, to blow bubbles, and to look at the sights downtown. What are people ruining your day? What are people yelling at you, man? What are people raising up our voice as a trumpet? See, to the outside looking in, we're just a bunch of niggas that have no common sense, right? No decorum, right? Just ghetto, loud, ignorant, hateful, evil. These are the things that the outside world looks at us, man. But inwardly, we understand it's zeal. We want to understand that these prophecies has to go out, man. We understand we're not controlling our souls, that it's the Most High moving our spirits. These are the things we understand. So they criminalize us and look at us as a hate group. We're on the poverty law center, Southern Poverty Law Center, man, right? As a hate group. Brothers have pulled that up 1,000 times, right? It says, if a person is found guilty of a hate crime, the court may fine the offender up to 1.5 times the maximum fine, man. And we don't know the maximum fine in your state. It could be 1,000, it could be $10,000, be 20,000, it could be 100,000. What do you think is going to happen when you can't pay that fine? When you're out there and you shaking your staff and your stick, and then things start to get real. These laws start to get passed, and it's pushed not on a very slow, calm, easeful, peaceful way, but it's stamped all in the TV screens, all on the posters, all throughout jobs, all throughout street corners, all throughout places of business and corners where men set up their signs. It says, and imprison him or her up to 1.5 times the maximum term authorized by the unruling crime, man. So the underlying crime, they're going to maximize the imprisonment, right? 1.5 times the maximum term. So the term could be 5 years. It could be 10 years. It could be 20 years. Men are going to start getting locked up for the word. So, I mean, that's when brothers say watch, they don't mean just click what Haza is doing every 5 seconds, man. Or go on Twitter and just see buildings explode in the same city, right, 3 days from there. When you look, you have to see what laws are being passed. You have to see how close the testimony is of the two witnesses of being fulfilled. You have to watch the times and see how the earth is shifting and moving so that you can really understand how close you are. Again, there's not going to be a notice, a time, right? A stick mark or a bookmark or a knock at your door letting you know that these days are approaching. Meaning, at the bat of an eye, these things could be pushed and you could come get grabbed out of your house, man. This is imprisonment. You already have broken the laws. You're already now a fugitive. A fugitive is somebody that's cooperating with the law. You're an enemy of the state, and now you're a fugitive because you didn't turn yourself in for these hate crimes. These things are offenses, government offenses. All you brothers that teach, you go out there, man. You shake the hand. You have to understand that being hunted by Esau is not how brothers think, right? It's just out of nowhere. It's going to be a big bang at your door. And then, you're just getting pinned up and yanked out like a child that shouldn't have never touched the cookies. No, these things are being passed slowly, right under your nose. They're building up all of these different things, to imprison you by right in front of you. Checking out the Constitution, right, which is the Constitution Gov, right? It says that you cannot penalize or stop the international traveling fundament right. So you have a right to travel and go different places. But the Lord says otherwise. The Lord says you're not going to be able to enter into another city. But yet Esau says his laws say that you can. Who's true and who's a lie? See, to keep people calm and relaxed, they pass these puppet bills, and they give you things that you could research on your own and give you comfort. They're not going to really show you the laws that they're getting ready to pass. If you could see what's on Trump's desk right now, you would probably faint. If you could see what they would call classified information in those documented folders, in those pull-out drawers, brothers would be putting on their boots. Brothers would be reading. Brothers would cast off slothfulness, man, and all type of sins and wickedness and witchcraft. We are so close to the end of the world, man. Right? Let me get this quick precept. Let's go to the book of Revelation. Right? Let's go to the book of Revelation. Right? Chapter 12, and let's start at verse 13. And when the dragon, right, saw that he was cast unto the earth, right? Meaning when he saw that he had dominion and rulership and was given unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man child. So persecution, right, is a massive slaughter. The woman is Israel that brought forth the man child, which is what? Our deliverer, Yahweh, right? The firstborn. So when the firstborn came on the scene, right, that's really the spirit of Esau, which is the dragon, which is the Roman Empire, seeking to kill and persecute Israel. Because now we have a chance to be redeemed. It says, and to the woman were given two wings of a great eagle, right, that she may flee into the wilderness into her place, where she is nourished for a time, right, times and a half a time from the face of the serpent. When it says where she is nourished, again, that's to be set back upon our feet, brought back to the knowledge of truth. Right now, you're being nourished, man. When brothers go inside of these lessons and open up the scriptures, you're being nourished. It says, and the serpent cast out of his mouth waters as a flood. So during this time of being nourished, you have a great prophecy of a spirit of flood and him casting out lies. And what's going to be one of those lies? I mean, this is manyfold, but truthfully, he's going to tell you that Christianity is the way. He's going to deter you as you're getting built up. You understand and nourished for this time, right? With lies of Christianity, Roman Catholicism, right? That the Hebrew Israelites are liars. Don't listen to them. They're extremists. These are the floods that's carrying a lot of our mothers and our fathers away, man, that didn't come into this truth and won't. After the woman that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood, man. That's by lies. So if these lies catch hold of anybody during the time of nourishment and coming into your feet, you were never the elect. That's the book of Revelation, chapter 13, and verse right number 5. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things, and blasphemies. Blasphemies is a wicked lie. So during the time of us being nourished, which is right now, and the two witnesses, you got a high level of sorcery on the earth, a high level of freakism, a high level of witchcraft, a high level of touching your mind with all type of Hollywood movies, man, TV shows, social media, things that keep you distracted, things that make you feel like this truth isn't the truth, like it's something else greater. And power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. So the strongly witchcraft of this world of Esau is going to continue 40 and 2 months. What's 40 and 2 months? 1,260 days. A time, times, and a half of times. That's the same prophecy. So his strength to control you is only during the time you're being nourished, which is spiritual. Because after that time, it won't matter. Why won't it matter? Because the elect is sealed. His witchcraft wouldn't matter because it didn't touch the ears and the minds and the spirits and the souls of them to deter them from the truth. They're already sealed. It says, and he opened his mouth and blasphemed against Yahweh. How does he do that? Again, through sorcery in movies and TV. It's a reason why you feel different when you listen to music. You have a different vibration or a tone, or you shape who you are. See, this world shapes who you are. That's why the Lord said, be not conformed to this world. Listen to NBA YoungBoy for a month straight and see what happened to you. Literally. Watch sex TV shows over and over for a month straight and see what happened to you. Watch all of these wicked basketball shows and see what happened to you. And to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. So what is he doing? He's throwing up curses by these warlocks and magicians to overcome and overthrow the men of the Lord, man, in the holy heavens. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints. What is during this time? After the 40 and 2 months. So it's giving him power after his mouth, you want to speak in great vanity to make war with us and to overcome them. So the gig is up, man. We will get overcome. Now, that's not to, diminish our faith nor zeal, but that's to have a true understanding that when you are fleeing and when you are in the wild, you may not get away, right? And power was given unto him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. It's the point. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him. How are they going to worship him? By the mouth speaking great things. That's while they worshiping him. That's not talking about they're going to bow down on their hands and knees and start serving Esau. Your mother probably worships Esau unawares. Your father. No, Timothy's father was a Greek, man. A lot of people, they don't even know what they worship. It says whose names are not written in the book of life. Where's all of this happening? After 40 and 2 months. Meaning the elect is sealed. These men's names were already written in the book of life during this time. So the ones that aren't written are the ones that are going to suffer, all type of vengeance. Twice dead. Slain from the foundation of the earth. Let me get this quick precept. Let's go to second Esdras. Let's go to second Esdras. And I'm going to dive into with this lesson too, the tactics and witchcraft of court in Esau's mind and how he's going to overtake you in the scriptures. This is the book of second Esdras chapter 16, right? And I'm going to start at verse, let's see what I want, 68. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you. So this is a great wrath that's coming down. And they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle, with things offered unto idols. And this is a cut for anybody that think you can eat food sacrificed to idols. If you can eat food sacrificed to idols, right, there's no penalty, crime, or judgment. Why is Esau's tactics of torture to feed you with things sacrificed to idols, man? That's actually going to happen in the last days. So they're going to have to be unclean, pork, shrimp, crab, possum, raccoon, dead roadkill, bloody things with flies that have been sitting in the road 15 days, that smelling, you're throwing up. You're idle, meaning you're constrained. It's not talking about you was playing your Game Boy and you got snatched up, man. Like in a head of state, they said security, and then the damn mouth come like that, and woo, and then they get snatched away. That's not what that's talking about, man. When Chris Rock says security, right? And Robin Givens gets snatched away every 5 seconds. That's not what that's talking about. Feed you being idle, meaning you're constrained. You're bound up in a chair somewhere, in a dungeon, some FEMA camp, with things offered into idols. And that's really a torture tactic, man. Right? They'll constrain you and they'll have a Chinese. Let me see if I can get this. I have an ancient let me see. Torture. Right? They have different spies and different things like that. And they'll take water and they'll just drop it on your head over and over and over. This is being idle and constrained. This is what this is talking about. Now, this is water. Everybody may say, well, it's not that bad. It's just water. But if anything hits a part of your skin, which is a nerve, right, it's going to eventually damage the nerve and send shocks throughout all of your body. And it's going to have a lot of mental, different things that are going to happen to your body. It's the same thing as the stocks. When you read Jeremiah, the 20th chapter, Jeremiah was put in the stocks. It's another word for a stock. Meaning they would put your head in that wood and your arms through that wood. And they would throw tomatoes, axes at you, rocks. These are constraints that are going to be used on you. That's why it says, feed you being idle with things offered, right, unto idols. And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot. So if you bow down to Esau, the Lord's going to give you over. For there shall be in every place. So that's a cut to you fleeing out of Babylon. Every place. You can't flee this thing because the Lord's going to turn the heart of every man that hates you for the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Everyone's going to hate you. You're either going to stand out as light in the world, or you're going to hide yourself amongst the trees, being scared, tucking in your fringes, not, understanding what prophecy's about and what the will of the Lord is about. And the next city's a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. So everyone's going to hate you. They're going to have, when you get hired of jobs, a serious background check in the days to come, man. A serious background check. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. They shall waste and take away their goods, meaning they shall ravish your house. Anything that you have will be taken away from you. Your canned goods, your children, your wives, right? All your possessions, right? Your safety weapons. These things are being snatched away and cast them out of their houses. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they should be tried as gold in the fire. So during these times, the Lord said, that's the time where you're going to be tried in the fire. You and your marriage right now is not being tried in the fire. Your bills right now is not being tried in the fire. These are light afflictions that happen to brothers, man. That have happened to, Tobit when you read the book of Tobit. Was Tobit in the furnace of adversity? This is the book of Isaiah chapter 10. Let me get this quick precept. In verse number 12. Therefore it shall come to pass that when the Lord hath performed his work, his whole work upon Mount Zion and upon Jerusalem, I will punish the fruit of the snout heart of the king of Assyria. Now, the king of Assyria on a spiritual level is the so-called white man. He's the Assyrian. And the glory of his high looks. For he saith, by the strength of my hands I have done it, and by my wisdom I am prudent, and I have removed the bounds of the people. What does it mean, remove the bounds of the people? I mean, you were set in Jerusalem, but you got moved. You were in the west coast of Africa, but you got moved. You were in America, but you got moved. He sets and moves the bounds of the people. This is what you call a slave master. This is what you have true power on the left-hand side of the earth. He can move the bounds of the people, meaning the whole nation. Imagine how much power you have to move millions of people, man. Millions to another part of the world, and nobody stops you. It says, I have removed the bounds of the people. So with this mentality, he's never been stopped. He's conquered the strongest people on earth. and have robbed their treasures, and have put down the inhabitants like a violent man. So, like when you stand upon war, like you got those ancient Greek statues where they stand as if they conquered something, man, right? As if they won battle in war. This is how they're standing in the spirit, like nothing has stopped them. They're the God of the earth. They're proud. Stop. Look, these are the things that the Lord is saying that the king of Assyria moves in, huh? I have robbed their treasures and have put down the inhabitants like a valiant man. And my hand have found as a nest the riches of the people. That's why we don't have anything. And as one that gathereth eggs that are left, that's off because you're not supposed to gather that which is left. It's for the widow and the poor. I have gathered all the earth. Look at that. I have gathered all the earth. Now, the Assyrian Empire did not gather all the earth. This is spiritual, talking about Esau in the last days. And there was none that would move the wing nor open the mouth of the peak, man. So the Lord's going to shut down all these high looks, these strong tongues, this witchcraft that's been posed in the last days. Let me get this quick precept in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 18. I'm going to start at it's like at 13 and 18. And say, thus saith the Lord, woe to the woman that sew pillows to all armholes. Now, what this is talking about is the wicked prophets. Now, in context, this is talking about Israel and all of the wicked leaders and prophets. But in the spirit, you have the chief prophet, the chief false prophet, which is Esau. It says, and make handkerchiefs upon the heads of every statue to hunt souls. So what do? They take relics and they put them upon statues to allure men's understanding. What does that mean in ancient terms? You go to Times Square, man, right? In New York City. Look at this. This is what you see. Fashion, clubs, places to eat, movie theaters, buildings, hotels, attractions. You see everything the heart could wish. All of this is idolatry. That's what Esau does. He uses witchcraft and idolatry. Come here while you're 10 years old. I want to go to New York City again. I want to make it big. I want my name on a poster. This was the ancient seductive way that they did in the ancient world to allure souls to witchcraft. Will ye hunt the souls of my people? And will ye save the souls alive that come unto you? Meaning, when these souls through witchcraft are taken to you, are you going to actually save them? 4, will ye pollute meat among my people for handfuls of barley and for pieces of bread to slay the souls that should not die and to save the souls alive that should not live by your lying to my people that hear your lies? Check this out. Wherefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, I am against your pillows, wherewith ye there hunt the souls to make them foul. And I will tear them from your arms and will let the souls go, even the souls that ye hunt to make them foul. Your handkerchiefs also will I tear and deliver my people out of your hand, and they shall be no more in your hand to be hunted, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. So, yeah, we're hunting. And yeah, this is talking about Esau in the spirit. How do you know? Because the Lord has told you in the book of Revelation, man, the 19th chapter. Who's the chief false prophet? Who devours your flesh? This is the book of Revelation, chapter 19 and 19. And I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on a horse and against his armies, right? All of the European Union and Esau and the beasts to fight against Yahushua. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet. So the chief false prophet is Esau. He's the one that gives you Christianity. He the one that gives you the hero, the false god, the emblem of hope, Caesar Borgias, paintings, idolatry, wizardry. He is the false prophet. Lord said not only the beast was taken, but also his crafty devices, the things he uses. He is a false prophet. It says, because with lies have ye made the heart of the righteous sad. It says, with lies, you'll never make it. You're just a Negro. The days of the Lord aren't coming. With lies and sorcery, he makes the heart and turns away righteousness. Whom have not made sad? The Lord didn't make us sad, and have strengthened the hands of the wicked, that he should not return from his wicked way by promising him life. That's Christianity, man. If you can't see that this is Christianity, don't turn from wickedness. Don't keep the law. Just give your life to Jesus Christ. Show Jesus Christ, right? All love him. Therefore, ye shall see no more vanity, nor divine divinations. For I will deliver my people out of your hand, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. So the Lord is prophesying and showing you in those days, right? There's going to be false prophecies. There's going to be lies. It's going to be wizardry. Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 24. I'm going to start at verse, right, number 15. But before I get that, I want to pull up this movie clip, right? This is I Am Legend. Brothers that haven't seen this, they got to catch up. But for brothers that have, they already know what's going on. Now, this is, Will Smith, for lack of better terms, and he's traveling, you know. Now, you're going to have wild beasts that are changing their habitations. That's all throughout the scriptures as well, right? But before I get that, I want to dive real fast in the book of 2nd Esdras. Let's go to 2nd Esdras, chapter 15. Matter of fact, let's get 16 and 40 before we get that precept. It's 2nd Esdras, chapter 16 and verse number 40. Hear, O my people, hear my word, make ye ready to the battle. And in those evils be as pilgrims upon the earth. So every brother and sister in Israel is going to be a pilgrim. You're going to be forced to be a pilgrim. Why are you going to be forced to be a pilgrim? Because in 2nd Esdras 15, the Lord shows you how you're going to become a pilgrim. Let's go to 2nd Esdras chapter 15 in verse number 17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. So if you can't go into a city, what is that going to force you to do? Go into outskirts, go into different places. If all of that's blocked out, that's forcing you to go this way now. If you want to go to your grandmother's house or that place of refuge or that field or that safe haven and everything's blocked off with surveillance, wires, and all type of military intel, you're now forced to go west. You're now forced to go south. You're now forced to go east or west. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. So in those days, what do you do when you're afraid? You scatter, you flee, you run. You have no sure way of where you're going to go and what you're going to do. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. I mean, in those days, nobody's going to care about, grandma. Nobody going to care about grandma, man. You think somebody's going to care about her in those days, man? And you've seen her on the block carrying all of that chicken in, all of that beef. Her and her grandsons always grilling in the backyard, man. Right? She always has some type of fruit that she's plucking off of her vineyard in the back, man. Think they're going to regard her gate? You think somebody's going to care about this woman? No, they're going to ravish her items. It's going to be a lot of bloodshed and killing, man. The Lord said, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and great tribulation. That's another reason of traveling and being a pilgrim, man. What happened during the time of Genesis when there was no bread? What did Jacob tell the children of Israel to do? Go down into Egypt, right? Let me get a quick precept. What is that? Genesis 43. Let me see. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 43 and verse 1. And the famine was sore in the land. And it came to pass when they had eaten up the corn, meaning there was no more food left, man. which they had brought out of Egypt, their father said unto them, go again, buy us a little food. What is it saying in the spirit? That you're forced to travel to eat. You're not going to be able to stay in your city. You are forced to be a pilgrim. The Lord said, oh, my people, hear my word, make ye ready to the battle, and in those evils be as pilgrims upon the earth. Right? Now look at this. He's a pilgrim right now. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to have a car burning up gas like this. And all of this game and roebuck, right? And deer for your picking. 9 times out of 10, you want to be quiet as you travel also. People are looking for a come up. See, he's looking for something to eat, man. He's starving. And he's hunting. Who's to say if you're going to even have, you know, a weapon? You may not have anything, man. Look at this. And look at the city. The city is given empty. Nobody's in it. Everybody has escaped their cars. They're probably a bunch of corpse. They got trampled underfoot. Dead bodies. And this is what we call the wilderness. When all of the paths thereof grow old. And he's in the city. And it doesn't take long for paths to grow old. Let me see. Grow over street. Let me see if I can pull this up. It may not say. Let's see. It may not say. But nevertheless, I looked it up a while ago. It said just months. It could take months for grass to literally grow over if it's not maintained. That's why you have Northern Kingdom and those road workers, as you drive to work, they're always mowing the grass. Every other week, they're mowing that grass because the grass is going to grow, man. And it's going to grow over in those days, right? That's literally going to happen. Let me get this real fast. This is the book of Second Ezra, chapter 16, right? In verse number 32. And the earth shall be laid waste, meaning nobody's going to maintain it. That's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, right? It says, and the fields thereof shall wax old, and our ways and all our paths shall grow full of thorns. You're not going to have any sense of direction of where you're going because no man shall travel there through. Why? Because they're going to be, killed, slaughtered, kidnapped. But also, again, you're going to have a massive setting down of the cities. Look, got to be hunting. And you're going to eventually run out of bullets. Something's going to eventually happen to take away of all that he has. And he's going to really have one thing to do, man. Be protected by Yahweh Bashem Yahushua or be caught out there. Like I said, we're not going to watch all this movie, but nevertheless, this is the spirit of man that's going to be, upon the earth. And I wanted to show you the craftiness of Esau, on another level. Let's go to the mighty book of Acts. I'm going to show you something real quick through the spirit. The book of Acts. Let's go to Acts chapter 18. Right, I want to get a couple quick precepts. So book of Acts, chapter 18 and 12. And when Gallo, right, was the deputy of Antioch, the Jews made insurrection with one accord against Paul and brought him to the judgment seat. And this is the same thing the Lord spoke about in the book of Matthew, the 10th chapter, that man and brother would deliver up brother. They will hate you for his name's sake. And you're going to be delivered up, man. Because any corporate or anybody that's aware or around these men are going to be judged also. These things are going to crack down into you. And whoever's in your life that's not truly in this truth is going to turn you in, man. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 10, and verse number 17. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. That's the same thing that happened, right, to Southerners when you read this chapter, right? They took Southerners, the chief ruler at a synagogue, and they beat him, and they delivered up his name and him for Yahweh's name, saying this fellow persuaded men to worship God contrary to the law. And that's going to be contrary to the laws of America. It says, and when Paul was now about to open his mouth, Gallo said unto the Jews, if it were a matter of wrong or wickedness, lewdness, or ye Jews reason that it should be bear with you. But if it be a question of words and names and of your law, look ye to it, for I will be no judge in such matters. Man, I have nothing to do with your Torah, man. I have nothing to do with the laws of God. If it be a matter of wrong or right and lewdness against the Roman Empire, let me know about it. And he drave them from the judgment seat. Then all the Greeks took Southerners, the chief ruler of the synagogue, and beat him before the judgment seat. And Gallo cared for none of those things. And why I brought this out is because there's going to be a lot of false judgment going on, right? During these trials, during being brought up before court, brought up before judgment seats. You're going to have a lot of false, wicked councils and trials going on. Let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 23. Acts chapter 23 and verse 12. Right? It says, and when it was day, certain of the Jews band together and bound themselves under a curse, saying that they would neither eat nor drink till they had killed Paul. So these Jews, they said, look, we're not going to eat, we're not going to drink, we're not going to do nothing until we kill Paul. Paul has to die. And there were more than 40 which have made this conspiracy, man. So everybody's conspiring to kill Paul. And when they came to the chief priests and elders and said, we have bound ourselves under a great curse, that we would eat nothing until we had slain Paul. Now, therefore, ye with the council signify to the chief captain that ye bring him down unto you tomorrow, as though ye would inquire something more perfectly concerning him, or ever, right? We come near are ready to kill him. So they're saying that they're going to kill Paul and be ready, right? When he comes out of the council, right? And let's jump down to verse 23. And he called unto him 2 centurions, saying, make ready 200 soldiers to go to Caesarea. So the so-called white man knew that the Jews were trying to kill Paul, knew that they were laying in wait, knew that they bound themselves with a curse, knew all of these things. Because Paul's sister's son told Paul, and the centurion was right there. I'm summarizing up, for sake of time. And Paul knew those things. So Paul and the centurion had to take him away from the Jews to be brought to safety so they don't kill him before he's brought to trial, to have judgment. Like if somebody wanted to kill somebody, they said, no, we're going to take them in protective custody until he's brought to trial to see whether he's innocent or guilty. So they had 200. It says 2 centurions, right, saying, make ready 200 soldiers. They wanted Paul so bad they had 200 soldiers around to go to Caesarea, and horsemen 70 and spearmen 200 at the 3rd hour of the night. So they said, you know what? We're going to take Paul and we're going to bring him into safety because of the uproar that's laid against him. Now, it seems like the so-called white man cares about Paul's soul. He wants him to be safe. He wants him to have a nice trial. But that's the conspiracy and the lies and the witchcraft and the motives behind these things. Going to Acts chapter 24 right, in verse, right, number 23. And he commanded a centurion to keep Paul and let him have liberty, and that he should forbid none of his acquaintances from ministering or coming unto him. And after certain days, when Felix came into his wife Drusilla, which was a Jewess, right? Because the kingdom has switched, right, from the Greeks, right, to the Romans. He sent for Paul and heard him concerning the faith of Yahushua. And as he reasoned of righteousness, temperance, and judgment to come, Paul, Felix trembled and answered, Go thy way from this time when I have a convenient season, for I will call thee. So you had Felix and Festus, which came into the room of Felix. Just the point. He hoped also that money should be have given him of Paul, that he might loose him. So what did he want, man? He wanted money. What if he would have got money? He would have loosed Paul to be killed, man. See, these Edomites don't care about good judgment. They don't care about reasoning righteousness in their courtrooms. They took all of those soldiers, all of those men, all of those spearmen to take Paul into a different situation that he would not be killed, just to secretly want money and bribes to loose him, man. What kind of righteousness is that? See, people put their trust in this court system. They put their trust in the so-called white man, right? They put their trust in this man and think that he's going to judge all right. Well, I mean, I just was out there, you know. All I was doing is shaking the hand. I didn't touch nobody, didn't hurt nobody. Yeah, it seemingly it's just threats. None of it came to pass. I didn't break nobody over. The staff, you know, I have a bad ankle. I could really pull it up with documents of the doctor's notices. I really am guilty. I didn't do anything wrong. You think he's gonna let you free, man? You think that this man is gonna let you free? Right, let me read on from there. It says he hoped also that money should be have given him of Paul, that he might loose him. That's wicked. Wherefore he sent him to the offender of commune with him. But after 2 years, Porcius Felix came into the room of Salakia Festus, came into the room of Felix's room, and Felix, willing to shew the Jews a pleasure, left Paul bound. He said, you know what? I really could set him free, but you know what? I'm gonna keep him bound. Yeah, I'm gonna keep him bound up, man. You know what? He really could be set free because he really is guilty, but I'm gonna keep him bound up. That's wicked. Meaning they know Paul didn't do anything wrong, but they kept him locked up. This is called unjust, wickedness, evil, right? Let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 25. Let's start at verse 9. It says, But Festus, willing to do the Jews a pleasure, answered Paul. Why is he willing to do the Jews a pleasure, man? Because you had the Pharisees in a position of them over the treasury, right, which they were of Jerusalem, and a confederacy and love that they had of coonery to have Caesar reign over them, right? We have no God but Caesar, man. That's what they say. We have denied our king just to be under subjection to the true ruler in their mind, which is Caesar. And they say, well, they're no threat. There's no insurrection and no kingdom rising up. They pay taxes, they pay tribute. We go into their temple. We've ravished it. Nothing's come about it. Let them be our little puppets, man. It's okay. Let's do them pleasure. Let's keep this allegiance going. But Festus, willing to do the Jews a pleasure, answered Paul and said, Will thou go up to Jerusalem? See, that's wicked. Why would he ask Paul to go up to Jerusalem knowing that they were trying to kill Paul? We just read about it in Acts chapter 23. He knows this, but he's trying to do the Jews a pleasure, meaning him as a court ruler, as a governor, is executing false judgment. All of these kings, all of these rulers, all of these nobles, all these princes, anybody high up is not going to execute true judgment. So when you're brought forth in the councils of those days, the Lord said, take no heed, man, of what you're going to say, because it's not going to matter. The Holy Spirit going to speak for you, man. And it may be bold. You may say, I don't give a damn, man. And the Lord said, thou sayest, when he was brought up, I don't care. See, it's weak to plead and to cry and please, please. Don't sentence me for 20 years. Don't sentence me. Don't kill me. It says, but thou will go up to Jerusalem, and there be judge of these things before me. Now, why should he have to go up to Jerusalem if he's a Roman by citizenship? That makes no sense. He's from Tarshish, right? Tros. It's Sicilia. It says, then Paul said, I stand at Caesar's judgment seat. Right, common sense. Like, I'm here, I'm right here. I'm a Roman. I'm standing here right now. Execute true judgment, man. Let me go. I'm innocent. Why do I have to go to them when I know that they're trying to kill me? It's like you're trying to set me up to fail, where I ought to be judged. See, Paul was wise and he knew the laws. It says, to the Jews I have done no wrong, as thou very knowest. For if I be an offender or have committed anything worthy of death, I refuse not to die. So Paul said, look, I don't care. Whatever's going on, if I'm guilty, I'll die for it, man. I'm not scared to go to trial. I'm not scared to die because I know I'm innocent. And that's going to be our spirit in that day, but it's not going to matter. Nero killed Paul. It still didn't matter. He still beheaded him, man. Brothers are going to die to death and be chased, grabbed up, and brought before these councils. Again, I want to bring this out again. The laws against freedom of speech. You don't even have to murder nobody. You could be innocent. All you're doing is teaching the scriptures. I believe I brought out the fine of hate speech, but I never brought out the laws against it. It says the category of unprotected speech. So you think the First Amendment is you can say whatever you want? You're wrong. It's not what the laws of the land says. It says obscenity, which is just utter lewd blurts and so-called, I'm not going to say it because they may flag the channel, but just, calling somebody, fat, nasty, take that turban off your head, just obscenity things that are thrown out. Child, P, defamatory speech, like you're going into slavery. The Lord is going to kill you. The Lord hates you. I hate you. That's defamatory speech. False advertising, right? It says true threats and fighting words. So these are all things that you cannot be protected under in the First Amendment. So anything else, you're speaking about, how beautiful your coffee was this morning. Police can't put a gavel and a baton against your neck and choke you out about it, man. Because you can't stop speaking about Michelangelo's painting. But things that are going against their laws in this land, hey, it's not going to matter. Deciding what is and is not protected by speech is reserved to courts of law. Deciding what and what is not protected speech is reserved, meaning it's only given to the courts of law. When it's given to them to judge if what you say is deemed under the First Amendment or not. That's hypocrisy, man. If you have the freedom of speech or you don't. Going back to the book of Acts real fast, just showing the unjust judgment seat of the so-called white man. It says, for if I be an offender or have committed anything worthy of death, I refuse not to die. But if there be none of these things whereof these accuse me, meaning I'm guilty, there's no proof, no man may deliver me unto them. I appeal unto Caesar. What does it mean I appeal unto Caesar? It's like an appeal, meaning I give my rights unto the situation to kneel before this establishment and court system, not the Jews. So when he said I appeal before Caesar, meaning it got to be taken up again. And that actually happened. Right, let's go to the book of Acts, right, chapter 26, right, and verse 30. So this thing is getting out of hand. The Jews are trying to kill him. The so-called white man knows it. He secretly wants bribes and monies. He keeps Paul bound even though he knows he's innocent. Paul's fighting for his life. All of this is showed again to show you in those days, it doesn't matter if you're innocent. It doesn't matter if, you weren't yelling, if you didn't have a microphone, if you didn't have signs. Anything held up against you at these courts of law, you're going to have the maximum penalty against you that we just went into. It's the book of Acts, chapter 26, and I'm going to start at verse number 30. And when he had thus spoken, the king rose up, and the governor and Bernice, and they that sat with them, meaning they're hearing Paul, and he making sense, and they confounded. And when they were gone aside, they talked between themselves. These are Edomites, saying, "This man doeth nothing worthy of death nor of bonds." Now, if this was a righteous system, because the Romans are nothing more than a revised Roman Empire, man. America is nothing more than a revised Roman Empire, right? And if the Romans did this, what do you think the Americans are going to do? This man does nothing worthy of death nor of bonds. Then said Agrippa unto Festus, "This man might have been set at liberty if he had not appealed unto Caesar." So that's a lose-lose situation. If he appealed unto the Jews, they would have lied in wait to kill him. But he appealed unto Caesar to get away from the Jews and death, that he may have a proper trial under the Romans. But yet they know he's innocent and not guilty, but yet they say he might have been set free if he didn't appeal unto Caesar. That's madness. That's hypocrisy. And that's just utterly evil. Let's go back to the book of Matthew, chapter 10 and verse 17. This is what Yahweh Shah was speaking about, man. But beware of men, for they will deliver you, right, up to councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. And ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my name's sake. That happened to Paul. That happened to all of the men of the Lord. Right? That happened to James. Right? When we read the book of Acts. Right? Let's get there real fast. It's Acts. Get this quick precept. Chapter 12 and verse number 1. Now about that time, Herod the king stretched forth his hands and vexed certain of the church, and killed James, the brother of John, with the sword, man. And he's vexing the church. He's coming up, you understand, to kill, because we have the testimony of Yahweh Shah for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. But when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what ye shall speak, for it shall be given in you the same hour what ye shall speak. For it is not ye that speak, but the Holy Spirit. So like it, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. And the brother shall deliver up brother to death, and the father the child, and the children shall rise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death. Meaning the laws that are passed, the spirit that's on these men. Not that they're just going to snap up one day and just feel like delivering you up for no apparent reason. No, they're going to be fearful. They're going to be scared. They're going to know you're different, man. They're going to know you possess to have the spirit of a kick door, or somebody coming into your house, ravishing you up, being locked up for years. They say, I don't want that around me. I don't want that spirit. That's the same spirit, well, not the same exact, but similar to your mother and you selling dope in her house, man. She don't want that in her house. You making the spot hot, police watching us. They might kick down the door. I'm old. I don't want this around me. Take that outside. It says, and ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth unto the end, the same shall be saved. Check this out. But when they persecute you in this city, flee ye into another. And that's the spirit that's going to happen. You're going to be fleeing from city to city from who? The sword, the so-called white man. For verily I say unto you, ye shall not have gone over the cities of Israel till the Son of Man come. Let's go to the book of 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy chapter 4, and let's start at 17. Start at 16, right? It says, at my first answer, no man stood with me, because Paul was getting locked up. That's why he's saying no man stood with him. Let's go to 2 Timothy. That's why he's telling Timothy these things, man. Prepare of what's going to come to pass and happen. Right? This is the book of 1 Timothy. So like your 2 Timothy, right? Chapter 1 and verse 15. This thou knowest, that all they which are in Asia be turned away from me. That's why he said no man stood with me, man. Why no man stood with him? Not because it wasn't a nice day or the birds weren't chirping. Because teaching his truth comes with repercussions and consequences, man. So when things got heated up for Paul, Paul was getting locked up and tortured and delivered up. Nobody stood with Paul, man, because it got too hot. All of those men that were with him, and he saluted a lot of men when you read the book of Romans, the 16th chapter, man. Everybody didn't stay with Paul. At my first answer, no man stood with me, but all men forsook me. I pray God that it may not be laid to their charge. Not that they just went in the world because they wanted to smoke weed and drink and get high. In the spirit and in context, it's saying, I pray to God that these men fear and them fleeing from this and really what this thing is about ain't laid to their charge, man. Because it could be laid to your charge being a coward. That's the law. In the book of Deuteronomy, the 20th chapter. The Lord hates a coward, man. The Lord said in the book of Sirach, chapter 37, consult not with a coward in matters of war, man. It says, but all men forsook me. I prayed God that it may not be laid to their charge. Notwithstanding, the Lord stood with me. So when those days again of vengeance, when all men forsake you and you're by yourself and a pilgrim and you're fleeing, the Lord is with you. The Lord was with David in the wilderness. The Lord was with Mattathiah in the wilderness. The Lord was with Paul when he was on the move. The Lord was with the thousands and thousands and millions of Jews, right, when persecution was arising, and the disciples, when they were fleeing, the Lord was with them, man. When a persecution arose in the church during the time of Paul, as he was a Pharisee, and they were killing all of the Israelites for the name of Yahushua, who stood bold? The disciples, the 12, man. They didn't run. Everybody else fled. You can read about that in Acts, the 8th chapter. It's the book of Acts, chapter 8, right? In verse number 1. And Saul was consenting unto his death, meaning he was with it. And at the time, there was a great persecution against the church, right? Meaning the elect, which was at Jerusalem. And they all, Slakia, and they were all scattered abroad throughout the regions of Judea, man. I mean, everybody got scattered. They ran. Everybody was fleeing. They were killing people left and right. And Samaria, except the apostles. They the ones that didn't flee. They stayed in Jerusalem. Everybody else fled from Jerusalem throughout different parts of Judea. When you look at a map, right? See, the apostles, they stayed in Jerusalem. The other people that went to Beersheba, Hebron, Lish, Derby, Tamar, Kadash, the Brook Cudrum, they just going all around, going everywhere. But the apostles, they didn't run because they knew what this thing was about, except the apostles. And they could have very well saved their lives. That's why the Lord said, he that saveth his life shall lose his life, man. You know? So if you try to save your life in this life, you're going to end up losing it. Let's go to the book of Psalms. Let's go to Psalms chapter 37. Again, I might have to do a part 3 on the same topic. There's so many, precepts I want to dive into, but I'm gonna get a couple more for sake of time. It's the book of Psalms, right? Chapter 37 and verse, right, 32. The wicked watcheth the righteous. And that's so evidently clear when you dive into things like mass surveillance in the US. I was looking at this early on, through the spirit. You have a map of global NSA data collected as of 2007, which is the National Security Agency. There's a web of things collected, right, all the way from the Soviet Union, right, and the wars that have taken place, all the way to this very day. You have something called mass surveillance. You have wartime monitoring. In the US, censorship involves the suppression of speech or public communication, right? So they're watching these things. Wartime monitoring and censorship. You have something called Project Shamrock, right? FBI, CIA, NSA, right? Institutionalized surveillance used, right, to also technically politic the sense of evidence, right? By the COINTELPRO. Look at this. It's so much stuff that they have that Jake has no idea about. It's gonna catch you like a tackle blindside, man. While you're minding your business, you get tackled out of nowhere. These are these bills that these devils are passing. And they're writing them up, man. Because in the power of their hand to do it. Let me read that again. The wicked watcheth the righteous and seeketh to slay him at the opportune time. Right? It says they seek to slay, to murder. The Lord will not leave him in his hand, nor condemn him when he is judged. Wait on the Lord and keep his way, and he shall exalt thee, inherit the land. When the wicked are cut off, thou shalt see it, man. So, I mean, you have to see that in the spirit. I have seen the wicked in great power. And we see the wicked in great power. I've never seen strength on a carnal sense, like the so-called white man in America. He can do and go wherever he wants, whenever he wants. He writes the laws. He passes the bills. He keeps the lights on. He the one that shuts down companies. He's the one that the earth is given into. I've seen the wicked in great power and spreading himself like a green bay tree. What does it mean spreading himself? Again, like we went into the migration period, right, from 300 to 600 AD. But more importantly, his lies, his sorcery is being spread like a green bay tree. Yet he passed away, and lo, he was not. Yea, I sought him, but could not be found. Let's go to the book of Job. Get about two more and close out. Let's go to the book of Job, right? Chapter 20. It's the book of Job, chapter 20, right? And I'm going to start at verse number 4. It says, knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon the earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short? So an ancient kingdom and empire, when you go into the history, it only lasts about 250 years. Right? I believe we're in what we at? 89 seconds on the doomsday clock. Where we at? Doomsday clock. Right? They actually have a doomsday clock where they're projecting, the time 89 seconds. See? It is now 89 seconds to midnight. 2025 doomsday clock announcement. So, I mean, they're telling you plainly that they know their kingdom is coming down to an end. And they've been setting this clock for quite some time. Look at that. 90 seconds, 2023. Now it's 2025. They got it at 89 seconds. And don't believe these doubles. Could very well be 10 seconds left on the clock, man. War is already in the earth. So we're not going to watch this whole thing. The Lord said, the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and it's right, and its hurt reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. Yea, which have seen him shall say, where is he? He shall flee away as a dream, and shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. The eye also which saw him shall see him no more, neither shall his place any more behold him. That's the days we're looking for. And able for these things to happen, you have to be uncomfortable. You have to be locked up. You have to be persecuted. You have to be fired. These days of tribulation are coming upon the earth, right? And again, as these things come, don't be fearful. It's a beautiful thing that the Lord had warned you, through the Spirit, and let you know these things ahead of time, huh? But let me get this closing precept. Let's go to the mighty book of Revelation, chapter 3. It's Revelation, chapter 3, in verse number 2. Be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die, for I have not found thy works perfect before God. Remember therefore how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast, and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come in thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. So continue to keep watch, continue to be diligent. Don't be fearful, right? Hold faith and be strong in the spirit, man. Cast off slothfulness, vanity, idleness, and anything that's preventing you to come closer to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. But with that, Lord willing, this was edifying. I'm going to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashem Mashiach, Umalak Yahushua. Shalom.